Welcome to Super Joey Foundation's third college panel. Um, yeah. So, Super Joey Foundation is a nonprofit public charity organization that helps families going through childhood cancer, and we help them by taking away their stress and emotional pain. So, if you want to donate to Super Joey Foundation Minnesota, you can go to this link that is our PayPal, or scan our QR code that also brings you to our PayPal. And we also have an email if you want to email us about donating. So, yeah. This college panel is also sponsored by the Minnesota International Chinese School. And the Minnesota International Chinese School prides itself in developing learners, lifelong learners of Chinese. And we thank them for sponsoring this event. Moving on to our panelists, we have 5 panelists today who all will be attending different colleges in the fall. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'll go first. Hi, everyone. I'm Steven. I go to Minnetonka High School right now, and I am going to be attending Columbia University in New York in the fall.
I'll go next. Hi, I'm Bowen Zhang. I'm a senior at Edina High School right now, and in the fall, I will be at UCLA.
Hi, my name is Kelly. I am attending Prior Lake High School, and I will be going to MIT in the fall.
Hi, I'm Yukyung, and I'm also a senior at Minnetonka High School, and I'll be attending UC Berkeley in the fall.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mia Sato, and I am also a senior at Minnetonka High School, and I'll be attending NYU in the fall.
Cool. So now we're gonna move on to some questions for you guys. So the first question is gonna be, how did you decide on the college you will be attending, and how did you pick your major? And any of you can answer this. So.
I'll start off with this. So when I started choosing colleges, I really wanted to stick like close to home or closer to family. So I didn't apply to any East Coast schools, but I did apply to some ones in the region, so Minnesota and in Illinois, like UChicago and some other private schools in the area. And I applied to Californian schools like Harvey Mudd and the UCs. In general, the biggest factors for me were just being, being able to still have a connection with like my family and not go somewhere super far off in like the middle of nowhere, kind of. Was there a second part to the question? Okay, how did I pick my major? So me picking my major, I guess I picked my major kind of earlier on into my education, because I was in 7th grade, I joined a program at the university called UmptyUmp, which some of you might already know. It's just an accelerated math program that they offer at the university. And through this accelerated math program, I was able to take a lot more math courses than I would have probably been able to typically through my own middle school and high school years. And by doing so, I was already on track for finishing a minor in mathematics by the end of my high school career, basically. So, I wanted to use all those credits and things. And the classes I took at the university, I mainly took applied mathematics courses. So I was that kind of put me on track to applying for applied mathematics and data sciences at the universities that I was trying to apply to. So that's how I chose my major of applied mathematics.
For me, I think my reasoning was, well, okay, so I am attending UC Berkeley, right? And so when I got my college decisions back, it was kind of one of the more like higher ranked schools that I got into. So I think in terms of that, it was like pretty easy for me to kind of commit to Berkeley besides like the financial aspect. But in terms of majors, I'm undecided because I'm going to the College of Letters and Sciences. I'm pretty sure no one starts off in a major. But yeah, I think it's kind of nice because then I can kind of I don't have to feel pressured to know what I want to do right away, just going into college. And I can kind of explore different areas and fields and then kind of declare later on.
I'll go next. So I'm originally from New York, and I always knew that I wanted to go back to the Northeast. So for me, New York was kind of an obvious option. NYU wasn't actually supposed to be my top choice. I applied early decision 2 because NYU is one of the only schools that offer early decision 2, and I was like, I kind of gambled with that. But in terms of financial aid, they did give me a really good package, which I actually had to choose a lot of my colleges based on financial aid. So it was very nice to be able to get that sort of assistance. But in terms of my major, I applied to the Gallatin College, so I will be creating my own major. And I know that sounds very like I'm going to be creating my major, but it's actually because I'm indecisive, and I literally was like, should I do philosophy? Should I do political science? Should I do international relations? I don't know. So I'm combining all of those. So that's what I'll be doing.
I guess for me, during the college application process, I chose a lot of the schools based on, some of the previous experiences that I've had. So I did have the opportunity to visit a lot of schools before COVID-19. So I visited schools in Chicago and also California. And I did, even during the pandemic, do a lot of extensive research on those schools again and on some schools in the Northeast as well. I originally did not actually apply to Columbia early decision or anything, but from the beginning of the college application process, I was looking into it, and I liked a lot of aspects about Columbia. Like the core curriculum is really like a kind of a famous topic for just giving students a well-rounded education. So that's kind of what gave me the appeal to that school specifically. In terms of my major, I would say that now and also going into the application process, I was never really sure exactly what I wanted to do. But I knew that throughout high school, I was really involved in things such as debate. So that kind of connected me with political science initially. And so that's what I applied as. And I would also advise everyone to, you know, offer schools in academic interest, but not necessarily feel like you are 100% going to commit to that, because a lot of people change their majors in college. So there's no need to commit to something right off the bat. So there's a lot of opportunities to just explore and learn more about different topics.
I chose my school, which I will be attending MIT, because not necessarily of the prestige or anything, but how suited I was to this school. Like when you are researching schools, you typically want to go on the websites and you want to look if the school fits you. It's not necessarily like if you like it or if it's like really well known. You want it to like make sure, is this school a perfect fit? Because eventually like the college application process, it's kind of like a two-way relationship. Like you like the school, but the school has to like you back. So like just seeing the perfect fit is like what you're trying to find. And I found it through MIT because I really like the community and just the collaboration of through it. And I was like talking to some alumni, and it's just very like obvious to see like these people are so dedicated for what they are, and I kind of like really got attracted to that. So that's why I applied and eventually committed to MIT. And my major, so we don't declare majors until second year, so I am tentatively doing computer science and math, and I chose this because I always loved math, like this is like the typical, like, oh, I've always had a passion since like 7th grade, but no, like I've genuinely always loved math. So I just wanted to follow through that.
Okay, and if we don't have any more answers, then we'll move on. Oh, and I'd also like to add that if anyone in the audience has any questions, they can message Anna Wang in the chat, and you'll be able to get your question answered that way. So the next question will be, how did you start the college process going into summer before senior year? And how did you make your college list?
Personally, I think something that really helped me was just like looking. Well, I know lots of schools take the Common App, so assuming that you're going to be like filling that out, just looking through all of the essay prompts and kind of ideating like what you might want to write about. So whether it's for like specific schools, extra like supplemental writing, or whether it's for the Common App essay. I just kind of looked through them, thought about which ones I might want to answer, which ones I really don't, and for the ones I do want to kind of consider like what topics or life experiences do I have that might like be a good response to this that I could later like form into like a good essay. And yeah, to form school lists, I know people usually recommend making like a kind of like a pyramid diagram, like your target schools. No, it's like your reach schools and then target schools and safety schools or something like that. So yeah, kind of looking at where you are in terms of their suggested academic range, I guess, or your counselor can probably help you formulate that too. Just thinking about where you're pretty confident that you can get in, where you know you can get in, and then where you're not sure, but you would like really like to get in. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah.
I can hop on that too, actually, because I don't have much to say about that summer. You see, I started late, as in I started when school started, so it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. You can still make it. Anyways, moving on. So for the college list, I would definitely say follow what Eugen said with really making that list. It's important to have equal amounts of schools in all three of those categories, because you can have less in your reach schools, but you should probably have a pretty solid list for target and safety ones, because those are going to be the ones that you want to really rely on. My other advice would be to also look at location, where you want to live. Do you like urban areas, suburban areas, or more rural areas? I also recommend looking at their academic programs. If anything, all the schools that you choose, whether they're safety or not, should all be schools that you can see yourself at. Don't just choose safeties because they're notoriously famous for being safeties. Choose them because you know that if you are going to get into those, you'll be fine going there. In regards to location, obviously educational programs, also look at what extracurricular activities they have. If the sort of environment that you're going to be in is kind of the vibe that you're looking for. But I also would recommend looking at like study abroad options, if that means something to you. Just looking at whatever the college has to offer. And surprisingly, you just have to do a little bit of digging to really find a lot of stuff that the university offers on their website. So it's not too hard.
I would emphasize quality over quantity when researching. Like you want to like dedicate, because it's like college essays, you want to dedicate your time to like great essays instead of just like spreading all your cards and like applying to so many schools. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think during the college application process, I got a lot of random emails from colleges and I was like, maybe I should apply here, or like I would get a fee waiver and I was like, maybe I should just like pull out an essay and apply here. But I think ultimately, yeah, it's totally about quality over quantity. So definitely do not apply to a school if you do not see yourself going there ever, because ultimately it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of their time. There's no benefit to it. Also, to kind of comment on the summer before senior year, I think that you should start early, but you don't necessarily have to start super, super early. Mia, I see you. But yeah, definitely think about where you want to apply, start researching into those academic programs that you like at certain schools, or just like how you see yourself fitting into the school. Also, I would say that, essays are harder to write than you would think. So just dedicating a lot of your time to really reflecting, because I think the essay is like probably one of the first time a lot of people really reflect on their lives as a whole for the first time. So definitely taking a lot of reflection time, just like considering your life experiences is really beneficial. And I think those are just, small steps that you can take over the summer if you want to be prepared.
I think Stephen covered the summer aspect really well, but I think it's very important to especially when considering colleges, to consider colleges abroad, because we all know the American education system is extremely expensive, but there are schools that are just as good or better overseas. Like the best mathematical colleges in the world are all in France, and like Toronto is just as good as many of in STEM and sciences and computer science, just as much as any of the American schools. So it's very important to look to schools overseas as much as possible, especially since you could be saving like hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of 4 years for better programs than things in the States.
I also had one more thing to add, kind of just on the topic of like preparation. So obviously, like the summer before senior year, you could get started, you could not. I also kind of got started on college apps kind of late, but I know coming into high school, just like freshman year, there's lots of people who are super, super like, oh my gosh, I have to think about college. I have to think about what activities I want to join and like what classes. I have to plan everything out for my 4 years so that I can get into this like super great college. But honestly, um, I think you shouldn't necessarily base all of your high school activities, um, maybe classes, but especially like I know lots of people are like, oh, I have to join, I don't know, for example, like debate because colleges like seeing debate on like college applications. But I think you should really, um, I don't know what grade everyone here is in, but like I think you should really join the activities that mean something to you and that you're really passionate about, because ultimately if you join these like clubs and activities that you don't really care about and just like stick with them for throughout high school for the sake of it looking good on your college applications, I think it's going to show that you kind of just you just did it to like fluff up your application. But even if it's something that like you don't usually see on an application, like I don't know, like yo-yo club. If you're really into yo-yoing and you join yo-yo club and you like have a passion for that, it'll show in your application because there will be somewhere, um, whether it's in like the activities description or you could like write an essay on it if you wanted to. But like I think your passion for your activities will show and ultimately benefit you more than just like the title of what activity or maybe even class like you take.
I really want to emphasize you like summed it up perfectly. Like I would like find things that you are passionate about and like don't do things that you think the college would like. Cause like if the college, if like everyone in the world is like trying to fit a certain college's standards, the college would be so boring because everyone would be the same. You want to be like show what you're interested in and show your own like uniqueness. And then like don't be afraid of that and like just like follow what you're interested in throughout college and like don't emphasize and like go into NHS because it looks good on my resume, but just like follow what you want to do and wherever you end up, you'll have a good life. College does not determine what like your life, yeah. And also on like prepping for like this throughout the summer, I would also recommend like starting early, but don't stress too much. Like take a breather. I know it's stressful and you will get like a lot of like overwhelming resources because like if you search up college prep like online, you will get bombarded and then be like sensory overload. But you just like take a step back and just consume what you want and take it one step at a time and you guys got it.
Okay, good job, guys. All right, next question. How did you decide what was important to put on your college resume and what are the different paths of an application? How should I use the additional information section?
I do have some advice on this actually. So on the Common App, there's a section for you to organize your interests in your clubs and the stuff that you do, basically your extracurriculars. That's actually really important. I would say, you know, obviously if you do a wide range of stuff and obviously everyone's like multi-level and like, you know, you do a lot of stuff and that's okay. But I would say definitely make sure that what you're presenting to the college is basically who you are, right? So your interests should align somewhat with what you're going to study, or at least like have a semblance of familiarity with what you're either writing in your essay or the type of like student that you're trying to portray yourself as. Um, so I would also make sure that with extracurriculars, definitely prioritize the ones you have more commitment with. So that means also like showing consistency in like, okay, so if you did this sport for 4 years and you were the captain and you do like this sport and you did leadership, whatever, then definitely put that more on top. And obviously we have more than just, I believe they give you 10, but all of us have more stuff like that. So I would definitely say prioritize the ones that you have more commitment to, that take up most of your life. They also have a section for like family responsibilities, and that's something that a lot of people I don't think consider. But for some of you guys, perhaps you do have a lot of responsibilities, either as the eldest or maybe like just as the most responsible kid, and that takes up a lot of your time. I think you should also highlight that. But yes, show relationships across basically what you do, show that you have commitment and you're able to basically keep and have consistency with the activity, and also to demonstrate like you do have some sort of variety. Don't don't be afraid to showcase that you do have that, you know, wide range of interests.
I definitely want to emphasize what Mia said because I think that it's kind of important to have that connectedness throughout your application. And colleges kind of like it when they see that you've kind of built a narrative for yourself. Like, for example, for me, I applied as a political science major and um, I did not do like anything STEM in high school. So if my application was just like all STEM activities and I was applying in like the humanities, it just wouldn't make a lot of sense. So you definitely want to kind of consider that aspect, like the like is what I'm doing right now connected to what I want to bring to the college. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you have to have all STEM activities or you have to have all humanities activities, you can definitely show that you have different interests, but definitely think about kind of building that narrative for yourself. Also, the other thing I wanted to emphasize was uh, the additional information section that was mentioned in the second part of this question. So on the Common application, there's an opportunity for you to almost write another mini essay about any other additional information that you'd want to bring up. So personally for me, I know that because of COVID, a lot of us didn't have the opportunity to take standardized tests. So I included a little section in there about how my score has not arrived yet, and I have to wait on my score to submit it because I did end up having to take the SAT in like October or November or something, which is pretty late into the application process. And then I also used it as an opportunity to talk about one of my research projects because at Minnetonka there's a research program that I was involved in. And so, yeah, definitely use it to kind of highlight some things, even like highlight some activities and also just show maybe extenuating circumstances such as test scores if you need to.
Okay, so although there may be a lot of stress surrounding like what you put into this category, they do give you a lot of like open spaces. I think they give you at least 10 to 15 open spots for clubs, activities, and volunteering things, which 10 spots you are kind of easy to fill up, but they give you a lot of chances to make an impression. So you can definitely, if one thing doesn't strike like your admission counselor's fancy per se, there you still have 9 other like little activities that you can put in. So like I was really focused in like STEM, applied mathematics, but I had a lot of all these unique little things that I did. Like I was on the varsity volleyball team, and like I was on a band with like some of my friends at church. So like there's a lot of these little things that you can put in that just show general leadership and general ability to take responsibility. Um, I think it's much more important to show your capabilities as like a human being, like someone who can take responsibilities and commit yourself to be doing better than to just be trying to put as much like stacking STEM onto your application. So like being on the science bowl team and things like that, I might have not put as high as say being the captain of my debate team, although I was applying for STEM positions at all these schools.
Yeah, for the additional section, I would definitely emphasize like not copy pasting like awards or more like achievements that you've gotten if you want to, for sure. But maybe like use this section to show that, hey, I am a human. I have like some things have happened. Like I know for mine, I like wrote like some classes I couldn't take. So I was like, why I wanted to take these classes, but I couldn't for XYZ. So like to show like kind of I really like how Steven put it as like a narrative that like build your narrative and then like use the additional information to show this extra part of yourself.
Something interesting as well is that this is unique for applicants this year, and I assume it's going to stay for next year. But there was actually a COVID essay or that in which you can talk about extenuating circumstances. So that's also an opportunity if you want to kind of add more of like the human aspect of yourself to the application. And I would say like don't for the additional information section and the like COVID section, don't write an essay just for the sake of writing an essay. That's also not necessarily the best move, but definitely include things if you feel like they're meaningful and they can really contribute to how the college is going to view you as an applicant and also just as a human being.
All right. So moving on to the next question. What did you write about in your college essays, and how did you decide what to write about and when to reuse essays?
Should I go first again? Oh my gosh. So I approached the Common App essay not knowing what to do. I still think it's absolute trash. So I will not be sharing it on a YouTube video quirky like that. No. But I actually wrote it about my alopecia. So I actually, this full head of hair wasn't always here. I know, surprising. And I lost all of it. And so I was like, what if I write about it? What if I just write about it? So that's what I wrote mine about. But the most interesting part that I want to talk about actually is the reusing essays part. Guys, I love reusing essays. Why? It's so fun because depending on the prompt, there's always the idea of like leadership, the idea of showcasing yourself and how you've grown or whatever. So a lot of these are vague enough where you can sort of like reuse large chunks of your essay. And I would definitely make sure to like really read the prompt and kind of gauge what they're looking for and also kind of understand what the assignment is. And then just kind of like take from your essay the most substance heavy that really relates back to the prompt. Not every essay can be reused because sometimes they are very specific, but if there are parts in it that really showcase who you are as a person, where you've come, what you've learned, and sort of like whether showing somehow you've problem solved or like a really specific example that can highlight aspects of yourself, I'll definitely say look out for chances to insert that in. And you can reuse, actually, I've done this before. I've used basically like half of my essay and then just like tweak the beginning and the end and just made it sort of like flow, just kind of read it over, make sure that it doesn't mention any other institution because that would be bad. Don't do that. But yeah, I would just definitely say they're all pretty much reusable if they're vague enough. And also to make sure that if you're using it, use the best parts of it. Don't just use parts of it that you're too lazy to write.
For me, I definitely reused essays quite a bit. I would say there are like a few essays out there that, are asked a lot by a lot of different colleges. Like a lot of colleges will ask you like, talk about an activity you participated in, or like talk about like an impact you had on your community. So like these are things that you can really easily reuse. And then when you do reuse it, just make sure it fits the word count, because sometimes it goes from like 250 words to like 350 words. So maybe you want to add a section, or maybe you want to like cut down on an entire section. So definitely be wary of that. In terms of what to write about in your college essays, so obviously there are some things that are a little bit more guided for you. So like talking about an activity, but I would, in a general sense, just like advise against writing something that is kind of just a laundry list of your activities, or just kind of regurgitating like stats or like hard facts about yourself. I think the essay is probably the only time besides maybe an interview in which you really get to showcase your personality, and things that are truly unique about you as a human being. So definitely use that space to not just be like, I was in debate and I did this and I took AP classes. Use that space to really just talk about how you are as a person, and also, and more importantly, how you've grown as a person throughout your life.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I think for the essays, like whether the Common App or like the shorter ones, I think that's where I had kind of the most fun thinking about, oh, I could write about this, or I could write about this. And like, I really think, like Steven said, don't just repeat all your activities and stuff because they've already seen your list of activities. You don't need to tell them again unless there's something that you really want to emphasize. But I really think also that for the shorter essays especially, it's a really great place to kind of, it's one of the only places also that you can kind of show how you're unique or show how you're different, not just in like your writing style, but also like the topic that you pick. So like, I think if the prompt asks for like, what activities have you like, I don't know, participated in or something like that. Like it doesn't have to be one of the activities from your activities list. It doesn't even have to be like an official, like through like an organization or something. Like for me, one of my essays that I wrote about was like my passion for painting murals. Like there's no like mural painting club that I participated in. It was through another club, but I picked this like really specific topic or part of that and I really expanded on it. And then I think the more you can expand on like a really specific thing, it really shows your passion and your interest in that. And then it also shows like I don't know, it shows like, you know, specifics and you're really, I don't know how to explain this, but
Like your
like,
time and dedication.
yeah, like it shows, I guess, yeah, it becomes like a vital part of your application other than just, I don't know, art club. But like rather than just art club, it's like, oh, painting murals for your community through art club. I don't know, like I feel like the more specific you can be and expand on these things that lots of people wouldn't write about, it really helps your application stand out.
That's super cool that you paint murals. Sorry, that but what I would advise is try to like reflect on your life. I feel like all juniors have like this set like section in the summer where you're like, am I even special? Am I unique? Like everyone has like a little midlife like crisis, but you always like your life is interesting. Like take like the little small details of your life. It could be like going to a coffee shop or something, or like talking with one of your teachers. You could like any of these moments you can like treasure them and just like look and kind of reflect on are these interesting or like do they like have they shaped who I am today, and you kind of just take these and really just reflect and go off and write about.
Can I say something really quick, actually? Number one, be your biggest fan, y'all. Like, this is really you. You have to be the one that's gonna be like, take me because XYZ. But also, too, some things I would avoid writing about is obviously I feel like a lot of websites online talk about it too, but don't write about like the time I got a C on a test and I almost cried. Like, yes, but also they've read that before. And again, with everyone saying like you have to be specific, yes, you have to be specific, you have to be, unique. They want to read something different. So kind of be a little bit, don't be a little bit afraid to be avant-garde with it. Make it make sense, but like also take a little bit of a risk. And also this one I can't advocate for enough, but like don't write about your mission trip. If you go on one, don't do it because well, it's a little savior-esque, and we don't want to sort of portray that when it comes to our college essays because it's central about us, not and about our growth. So again, like everyone said, be reflective about you, and be your biggest fan. So if you can't think of something right away, don't beat yourself over it. You'll get it.
Yeah, also kind of piggybacking off of that, I think obviously this essay is about you, but like Stephen and Mia said, you should also be writing about how you grew and how maybe other people involved or the what is it, the event or the activity changed you and changed the way you think. Um, and I think kind of like I went from point A to point B, and like one of my older friends, I think worded it really well. It's like a give and take. So you want to write about what you gave, but also what you received in return. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be like, I don't know, physical or tangible, but if it's like, oh, I realized X, or like I learned this about myself, or like about how the world works. Like I think that's also really important because it shows that you're not just being like, oh, look at this great thing that I did. It's also like, look at this great thing that I did and look at this great thing that I received in return.
Yeah, I think that growth factor really kind of changes your essay from sounding, I guess, arrogant to sounding actually very intriguing and well thought out. So definitely be your number one fan, but make sure that you are emphasizing personal growth and not just being like, I am amazing and I'm better than all of you. Like, don't have a superiority complex with it. Just, show how you have gotten from point A to point B.
Okay, well, if that's our last answer, then we're going to transition into questions about high school life. So, our first question will be, how did you choose your courses throughout your high school career, and what are the pros and cons of choosing classes like AP, PSEO, and UMTYP MP?
So personally, I did PSEO, and for those of you who don't know, it's like where you can either enroll part-time or full-time in a nearby college. So I did mine through Normandale Community College junior and senior year, and I think there's a lot of advantages to PSEO, especially if you're planning to go in-state in Minnesota. I'm not, but I think it still like helped my application. So you get to take college classes for free because your high school will pay for it, and if you do well in the classes, you get the credit. You don't have to take them in college if you're staying within Minnesota, because there's this thing like all the colleges in Minnesota like have an agreement that they'll accept PSEO credits or something like that. Um, and if you do full time for 2 years, you could graduate actual college 2 years early because you get your associate's degree by the time you graduate high school. My really close friend is doing that, and I think that's so cool that she just like is getting a college degree by the time she finishes high school. And there's also, you get to choose from the college's course catalog. So there's a good chance that there's going to be a better variety of classes for that fulfill the same credits as a high school class. So, for example, like I took a personal finance class at Normandale, and I thought that was so cool because there's not really anything like that at the high school, but it still fulfilled a high school credit. And so I think it's great to have more freedom in terms of choosing classes, and also just like actually in your day you have more time to do stuff. Obviously you have to then like plan better, like, oh, I need to spend this much time on classes, but I think it was really nice to kind of just have that little taste of freedom before I actually go off into college. It helped me kind of ease into, I guess, how college works and how college classes work, and what professors might be expecting of me. Um, so I think at least for PSEO, oh, also it shows that like you can handle college classes on your application, and yeah, I think PSEO is a great option.
Kind of in contrast to Yu Kyung, I did not go the PSEO route. I kind of just went the more like AP route at the high school. And I did take, with the exception of like IB, I did take like IB Spanish during high school. Um, Overall, I guess my thoughts on the AP route, I think AP is a little overhyped, and truthfully, it might be a little bit overrated. Like, there's no like set amount of AP classes that you need to take in order to get into a certain school. You don't need to get all fives on your AP classes. You don't need to take like 30 AP classes during high school if you want to get into the Ivy League or something like that. Um, and I think that's kind of one of the regrets I do have in high school, because I think there's a lot of pressure to engage in that type of behavior. But overall, I think it's important to just take the classes that you're interested in and always be sure to challenge yourself. So whether that is AP or IB or PSEO or UMTMP, whatever it may be, don't take classes just because you think, oh, this college will like the fact that I took these classes, or they like the fact that I have like 15 AP courses listed on the Common App. Um, Take classes that you're genuinely interested in. I think that's probably the main takeaway.
I think it's good to challenge yourself. Like it's much better to get like a B minus or like an A minus in like an AP course than like straight A's in all regular. So I would like find the balance of like taking regular and AP or all AP if you want, or a IB and all of those sources. I would just like emphasize like try your hardest and see if like and adjust throughout the school years, because I know like some of my friends they hopped from AP to regular to honors, but just seeing like which path is suited for you. And colleges want to see that you challenge yourself, not necessarily getting straight A's in all regular classes, but seeing like just that self, like, I don't know, dedication or strength that you can have throughout college.
I'll share some
Not
advice.
college,
on that.
sorry, high school.
I'll share some advice on that end because guys, I am so bad at math. It's partly because I am not really interested in math, and so I don't really pay attention during class. I kind of like daydream a little bit. Just kidding. But all throughout high school, I did not take like an AP math or an IB math. I just kind of went, I suck at math, so I'm gonna go with general math. That turned out fine for me. I am better at English and social studies and things like that. So a lot of my APs are focused on English and social studies like psych, you know, history and literature and composition. And those classes come way easier to me and basically a lot less pressure. And I will say though that while we're all prepping for college, you still want to make sure that you're enjoying life. Like you don't want every moment to be like, wow, I hate doing this homework. I hate coming home and thinking about it. Don't like it, bestie, then don't do it. So it should, you know, more than anything, be beneficial to you to some extent, whether that be fulfilling your curiosity in the subject or the field, or just because you like the content that's being taught and you want to, you know, further your knowledge in that area. But if it's not providing you emotional, you know, if it's not giving you some emotional fulfillment, it's not giving you some fulfillment in terms of, you know, really studying and stuff like that. And I wouldn't recommend pushing yourself that hard because everyone's struggling, everybody's, you know, trying to get into these schools. If you don't feel like you're motivated to do anything else because you're so overwhelmed with schoolwork, then it's not worth it. So I just wanted to say that you can take general math. Come join the club.
I think one big thing that a lot of people don't consider when taking AP courses or PSEO and other extracurricular kind of courses is that there's huge opportunity costs to taking AP courses. You're supposed to spend a lot of time outside of school studying for these classes, which takes away time to say volunteer, to do research, to do internships, to like participate with your like outside of school activities in general. Like as the debate captain, I just spend a lot of time being there for my like for my novices basically. And so taking 6 APs while doing that was a huge commitment of my own time, which was getting close to basically unbearable, which I guess I could have probably changed that a little bit more. And that's one regret I had basically, because I basically took so much classes that I started to not enjoy many of them as much. And I started to be not as able to participate in the activities that I really loved, like volleyball or debate and stuff like that. And talking about PSEO and UmpTIUMP, I did PSEO through the University of Minnesota, and UmpTIUMP is just kind of a PSEO thing basically. So UmpTIUMP is like a mathematical course that you can basically start in middle school to do college math while you're in middle school. And I think that was actually incredibly useful, especially for like putting you on track for a lot of college activities, because while going to do PSEO at say Normandale might not have a lot of credits to transfer over, doing college courses at the University of Minnesota allows you to transfer a ton of credits to nationally renowned schools. And plus you get a lot of professors that are nationally renowned. Like my current professor in one of my math courses is a graduate and a professional researcher from MIT. So he was able to help me a lot, kind of just like talking through things. And he was just like a generally good guy for me to like meet before I head off to college next year. So be sure to be looking out for these opportunities outside of school, especially so that you can be more prepared for what comes after.
Yeah. Another quick thing. I think there are a lot of great points made, like academics are really important in your college application, but there's other ways that you can impress your admissions officer. So you don't have to feel like taking 6 APs is like the baseline. You know, there's like other ways that you can show your talents, like your strengths and stuff. I really want to emphasize that I think like Steven mentioned, like there's like this kind of culture or like expectation that everyone takes a bunch of APs and stuff in order if they're like aiming for maybe like higher ranked schools. But um, yeah, I know personally, like after junior year of high school, after my first year of PSEO, I was like starting to think about college and stuff. And I just had this moment where I was like, wow, I just wasted my junior year because I was so like, I realized like, oh my gosh, all of my friends are taking so many APs and like IB classes and like the IB, what is it, like diploma program. And like, oh, I'm here like taking PSEO and taking classes that their credits aren't even going to transfer probably because I wanted to go out of state. And so I was like, wow, what am I doing with my life? And then I like, so that was kind of hard. But then now I realize like, you really don't like APIB. It's great. It's like a great program, but it's not the only way. And you don't have, even if you do APIB, you don't have to go all the way and take every single class that's available to you. Like everyone has their own path. As long as you do well on that path, I think you'll be fine.
Real quick, can I hop on this one more time? I know I've been talking a lot, but when somebody said opportunity cost, I went, oh my God, AP macro flashbacks. Speaking of tests on Monday, not looking forward to it. Anyways, what I was gonna say was, like literally everybody said, the road to college, the path to admissions, whatever, it's not linear and there's many ways you can take it. Plus, the connections are really important and you should start on that now. I think, in my opinion, you should also start on that now because the more people you know in your area, the more opportunities you can get and have them presented to you, more so than focusing completely on academics, because the world is not solely academics. And that's what colleges want to also reflect, is that they're more than just, I'm gonna go there and study and get A. It's also like who you know, what it is that you're doing with what you know, and stuff like that. So with extracurriculars, you know, you want to make sure that while you're challenging yourself in school, you have to make time for things that are going to get you further and make you stand out. So for example, like I'm part of Dear Asian Youth and I'm the co-director of social media. And now we have a large platform that can make a difference. And that takes up a large chunk of my time. So if I were to be taking all APs, I would not have the time to be running that. And honestly, the work that we do at Dear Asian Youth and what work I believe that we can do in the future probably matters a lot more than an A in AP Stat. So again, be really mindful of the courses you take because they should reflect your interests and reflect what you want to do with your life, and make sure that you're healthy and being realistic about what you can take and what you think will get you farther. And have a healthy balance. Yeah.
Okay, so our next question is gonna be, what activities did you participate in? What do I do over the summer and how do I get awards?
So for me, I think in terms of what extracurriculars to participate in, definitely just do what you're interested in and do not do what a college is looking for. Um, and I know that a lot of people talk about how like debate is kind of like a standard college activity, but I kind of went into debate like genuinely interested in it. And like actually the summer before ninth grade, my mom like randomly put me in this like Minnetonka High School debate summer camp. And then I ended up really liking it. So then I was like, oh, maybe this isn't half bad. So I decided to stick with it. But again, just do what you're interested in. It doesn't necessarily have to be like all STEM, all humanities, like exactly what a college might think you need. But just whatever your interests, wherever your interests lie, just pursue them. In terms of like doing over like programs over the summer and getting awards, I would say a lot of the awards that I used, I got through the activities that I was pursuing. For example, I did end up getting awards through debate, and those were some of probably some of the main ones that I listed on my application. Um, but and I don't have a ton of advice as to like what other awards are available for other clubs or other activities, but wherever your interests lie, there are definitely awards in that area. So just do your research and kind of look out for those. And summer programs, I would also say that some summer programs are kind of overhyped as well. Like you do not necessarily need to do like a month long research internship at like MIT in order to get into MIT, for example. Again, like I ended up like probably the main summer thing that I ever did was like I went to a debate camp in LA, and I didn't even list that on my application. So again, just do things that you're interested in. So yeah, that's the main piece of advice.
I think for me, so a lot of my activities were based in like I was the president of like National Art Honor Society at my school and like also the Asian Student Union. So I think I really focused a lot of my activities on like art, cultural stuff, and like community service. And so those were kind of my three main, I guess, topics in my activities. There were other things like sports and some work like jobs that I had, but yeah, I think someone said this earlier, but like prioritize the activities that you had maybe like leadership positions in, or I think colleges also really like to see like what impact you've had on them, even if you weren't like in a leadership position. Like if you, I don't know, had an idea that changed kind of the direction of your club or something, like that's something they would want to see. Um, I forgot the other parts of the question, but um, oh yeah, so over the summer, I think most of my stuff came from volunteering and like part-time jobs and stuff. And most of my awards also came from volunteering and art. So um yeah, to be honest, I did not start thinking about anything college related until the summer before senior year. So I didn't even know that like um I don't know, that debate looks good on college apps. Like I didn't know that everyone was trying to like kind of set things up for the future. I was just like, oh, I like this club, so I'm gonna do this. And like, I like this club, so I'm gonna do that. And then it ended up working out for me. So I think really like as long as you are passionate in what you're being involved in, like it'll work out for you in the end. And if there isn't a club for something that you're involved in, make one. And then that also looks really good on your applications. If you make something and you actually, or make a club and you actually like invest time in it and you get more members and like you do stuff, like it doesn't have to sound super, I don't know, sophisticated, I guess. Like I'll use the example from last time, like yo-yo. Oh, I'm not saying that yo-yos aren't sophisticated, but like, but like if you like make a yo-yo club and then you have like, I don't know, 15 members by the end of the year, like I think that's a really big achievement that even if it's not really related to what you're kind of applying for or what the rest of your like, I guess your narrative is for your college apps, I think it's still something like kind of like lighthearted, like unique that you can add that'll like add another aspect to you as an applicant. Yeah.
That's very cute and quirky. I love that for you. But yeah, I agree. Start your own club. If it's kind of like weird, don't worry about it. Weird is okay. I will say though, I'm very good. I guess I'm pretty adequate at getting awards. So I'm gonna give some advice in this arena actually. Look local. Your teachers are probably the best people you can look for nominations, for recommendations, for like literally there's stuff going on behind the scenes of like they're nominating students for certain awards within your own school that you might not know about. So not saying like, you know, be buddies, but like, you know, don't be like, you know, a complete stranger to teachers that could potentially provide those opportunities for you. Like for my psych teacher, she nominated me for the Rose Reese Award, and I got $100 for it and the certificate. So I mean, $100 is $100, but also like, you know, locally speaking, you enter into competitions like art and writing, the Scholastic one. I recommend doing that one. Doing like competitions in classes that, you know, are already that you're taking in, so you have some proficiency in, is never a bad investment because you've already invested the time in learning the content, so why not? So yeah, so competitions showcasing your talent, competitions showcasing the knowledge that you already know. I would also recommend getting the baseline of like, you'll get the award for, you know, academic letter if you have honor roll for so many amount of semesters. You'll get the service award, but if you get a certain amount of hours. So those baseline ones are pretty easy to attain. I would say probably the hardest ones to get are the ones that are more like national acclaim, stuff like that. So you can aim for a couple of those, but I would definitely look local, focus on what you can do in your community, because ultimately that's going to showcase what you can do for the college and their community. Because smaller impacts obviously build experience for bigger potential in the future. That's what colleges want to see. They want to see potential in you. That's why they're going to invest in you coming to their institution. So by extension, if you have awards in areas that pertain to your interest, to your major, to whatever, they're going to pay more attention to those versus like, I got an award in service solely because I wanted to check off that box. That's okay too, but it should somehow reflect in building experience and your resume ultimately, because those things are also important in job search. Those are also important in internships. So ultimately those awards will benefit you. Look for local ones, focus on your strengths, focus on what you know. But yeah.
I just wanted to add one brief comment. I think that like awards can be very, very stressful. And I think you can look at other people and be like, oh, my best friend has a national award, or like this girl at my school has this national award. And then you're like, wow, I feel so inferior or incapable. I would just advise everyone to just like once again realize that the college application process is very non-linear. There's no one path. Like getting a national award doesn't guarantee that you get into a school, and you as a person who like if you're a person without these national awards or like without like all these AP classes or without like these hard stats, like you can still get into amazing schools and showcase your personality, showcase your talents through other means. I know like this is kind of a rant, but like I remember applying to college and like I was not a national merit semifinalist, and I looked at everyone in like the past years at my high school, and I was like, wow, a lot of these people getting into these good schools were national merit semifinalists, and I was like, everyone at these schools are probably have that award too, and I feel like maybe I'm just like set up for failure. But you know, everything works out, and like these little awards do constitute like maybe 5 slots on your application, but they do not represent you as a person.
I would focus on being well-rounded. That's my main focus. Like for my activities that I participated in high school, I was part of the tennis team for like 5 years. I did band, I did speech, I did women in STEM, I did NHS and volunteering. So like lots of well-rounded stuff that I'm very interested in. And eventually, because I dedicated lots of times in all my extracurricular activities, so I ended up receiving leadership positions, but a big like premise is I didn't go into it saying like, oh, I am going to be like varsity captain, I'm going to be the drum major and like first chair. Like, no, that just eventually happened. I worked hard, like took private lessons, did the drills, everything. But like I would focus on like kind of covering all aspects. So like athletes, art, volunteering, or like academic. Our school does not have like debate, sadly. So I went to speech and I absolutely loved speech. And NHS is like also, I would say, more academic. So just like showing different parts of yourself. And this also helps with the activities section on the Common App. So like then we just filled it right up. So, and also like don't invest yourself in so many different clubs that you're not very interested in. I would pick like a solid group that you're interested in. Like those were my core, like 5 things that I like. If someone like if I was able to like introduce myself to a stranger, that's like what I would say about myself. And the second part of the question, summer camp. Oh, summer. Basically, I would recommend continuing to invest yourself throughout the summer. And like I did a few summer camps throughout the summer and just continue to apply yourself, whether it's a summer camp or just like what I did was like I continued to play tennis and teach tennis throughout the summer. I tutored, I volunteered, just like keep yourself busy throughout the summer, but also finding a great balance to relax because you want, and it's crucial to find this balance because if you study, you will get burnt out, you will get tired. So just like finding the balance of socializing and also grinding. So like work hard, play hard. That's like what I love to say.
All right. Now we're gonna move on to some audience questions. And the first one of those is gonna be, what do you wish your parents did more or less of during high school?
For me, I think I really wanted to do everything by myself. So every time my parents tried to like get involved and like tell me, "Oh, you should do this," or like, "What about this?" I was like, "Stop. Let me take care of this." So, I think, yeah, my parents like they never really pushed me to do well in school. They were just like, "Do your best, and if your best is a C, that's okay. If your best is an A, that's great." So, I think that really helped me like kind of find my own motivation and like push myself to do well in school, and like I didn't feel any pressure to do well, and if I didn't do well on something, I was like, "Okay, I'll just try again next time." Um, and so, yeah, I think for me, that hands-off approach really worked because then I was able to kind of like explore, this is what I like, and then where can I go from there? And then, like in the application process itself, I tried, I like looked up the schools that I wanted, and then if I needed help, I reached out to my parents, and they helped me, and then I went back to doing my own thing, and like I think it was probably kind of frustrating for them because I know they probably wanted to be involved or like more involved, but I think them kind of respecting my want to kind of do things by myself really helped alleviate pressure and stress, and then also like I guess helped me feel more like in control of my application and what I wanted to do with my future. So personally, like that helped me.
I had a very similar experience to you, Kyung. Um, my parents weren't truthfully not super involved um, with like my high school life. So a lot of the academics, extracurriculars, I did that mostly on my own time. They didn't really pressure me to go into anything. And I think that for me, at least, that was really beneficial because it helped me kind of build a lot of independence, and also it allowed me to kind of take on things by myself and be able to like take on something that is a little bit harder that I maybe couldn't have done beforehand. I do know a lot of parents who are really involved in their kids' high school life and who pressure them to do things such as join extracurriculars or do this or that. And I think, that I would just advise parents to kind of like consider whether or not their kids are really interested in what they're doing and to give them the independence to kind of explore their own passions, because I think ultimately that's really important, not just for high school, but for them to kind of grow as a person and determine what they like or dislike, just in a general sense. During the application process, it was the very same. It was like very similar for me. Like my parents weren't involved basically at all. I didn't share a lot of what I was doing during the college application process with them. And even if I did, it was very minimal. Um, and I think, again, I also know people who have parents who are very involved, especially with things such as essays. And like their parents read over their essays and tell them things that they should include or not include. And I would just be wary of that, because I think that it's important to recognize that this is an opportunity for your kid to showcase themselves, not you. So, yeah, it might sound a little bit blunt, but yeah, you have to be able to allow your child to have the opportunity to showcase the things that they're interested in and say the things that they want to say, because that's what's going to sound like them and that's what's going to be true to them. So I would just advise a lot of parents to just um, kind of take a step back and help when your child feels like they want help.
So I have the opposite experience. I do want that freedom. My parents, so I have two sets of parents. The set of parents I do live with are very much like they in this household, at least, I am the eldest, so I had a lot of responsibilities at home. I had to do a lot of chores. I had to clean up after a lot of people. I also had to stay at home a lot of the time because of those family activities, and just like the weekends weren't my own. And so a lot of the time, especially during the pandemic, it's like it's hard to be able to dedicate a set amount of time to the things that I want to do because of what they want me to do. So I would definitely say yes, I 100% agree. Give your children a lot more freedom within reason, and also to support them, because my other set of parents, not saying the set of parents I do live with are, evil. They very much, they're supportive. They, to an extent, but also like showcasing that support for your kids and what they're interested in is also very helpful. Don't always, immediately jump the gun to be skeptical of what they're doing. Take the time to learn what it is that they're doing, and since I'm very much involved in a lot of organizing, a lot of more social justice themes, that could be potentially why they're a little bit more skeptical. But my other set of parents are very much supportive, and they constantly hear me out. And so yeah, I would definitely say support, give your kids some freedom, obviously within reason, with structure, but yeah.
I would definitely agree to that. Like the best thing that a parent can do is to support your child and like what like they like to do. I know my parents were also like very removed from the college app process. I did everything by myself, and it's like they only like read my essays after I got in, after we were done, because I didn't want them to like read my essays either. But like of course I could have asked them and they would have helped, but I was always independent. And I feel like throughout high school, it's 4 years, you are growing up throughout these 4 years, and like parents might not realize that, but you're becoming someone that will go to college, whether that's in state or out of state. You will like become this strong, independent like person. So I think parents are like should give your child this freedom, and the best thing they could do is support, cheer on your child, and yeah, always be there for them. I'm thankful for my parents and how they did that.
In my opinion, it's a lot less about whether you give your child freedom, but more that you have to teach them a sort of independence in a way. So both of my parents work basically out of state/country. So throughout my high school career, they pushed me to like get my own driver's license. I have my own like bank accounts, and like investment things going on in the background so that I can like, so that I am like doing groceries and cooking for like my younger sister and stuff like that. So it's important to like teach your children to know how to be independent and to learn how to take care of themselves. Because if they understand, like, if they understand your job as a parent, they're like much more appreciative, like in a way, right? So I appreciate my mother and my father like much more for like what they do now that I know I also like kind of do those things like cook, do groceries, do bills, just drive my sister around and stuff like that. Like the most important thing honestly is teaching them independence and consistency. Like my parents were always, even if they weren't always in state or in the same country as I was, there was a lot of consistency. Like they always knew to like check up on me, to make sure that I knew what my finances were looking like to feel, I don't know, anything that was missing, maybe to remind me of certain activities. And when they were here, they picked me up on time all the time. They like they tried to do the most so that I could be the best person I could possibly be, the most independent I could possibly be. So like even if it's not about like control, but like being able to be there so that your child can always know that they can try their best, and maybe they can fail, but even if they fail, they can still keep going because the parents are always there and have taught the child to be independent, to keep going on, to know how to live life and succeed at it even without like other people's outside support.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Also kind of to go back to like the essay thing, like parents reading over essays. I know I have a friend whose parents are like or were really involved in her college application process, even though she didn't want them to. And I think even if parents have like a good intention, like, oh, I'm just like helping them catch like grammar mistakes, or I'm helping them like I don't know, like think of a good intro or something like that. Like if you're kind of like forcing that position or like that involvement onto your child, I think it indirectly can make them like scared to write about certain things, because it's like, oh, can I say this? Like, what if my parents read this and think that like, I don't know, why do you think like this? Or like that's not true or something like that. Because especially if you write something about like family or like something that happened that where your parents were like present, I think it can kind of pressure the child to say what they want their parents to hear, in a way that kind of like masks their true voice or like thoughts. And as people said, like this is an important time for your child to like say their thoughts and present themselves. So yeah, like even for me, I wrote about something for my Common App that it wasn't anything bad about my parents, but like it was something involving them, and I just felt kind of like shy or like kind of embarrassed to show them in the writing process, because it's like, you know, you can be really vulnerable in your essays, right? And so it's like a personal essay that can be kind of difficult to share even with your parents, even if you're super close to them. So yeah, I think like respecting that distance if they want the distance, and if they want help, giving that help wholeheartedly. Because even if like your parents don't look over your essays, like, you know, we have friends, we have teachers who we can like share the essays with, who we feel comfortable with, who are maybe distance enough from what we're writing about that it doesn't really matter whether they see it or not. So yeah, I think even if we don't want like our parents to be the certain source of help, I think, you know, students will find someone else just as good who can help them.
One thing I want to say really quick is if you're in the same situation as me, either you obviously didn't involve one set of parents, or if your parents actually, or your parent actually cannot, or your guardian cannot help you in the sense of English is not their first language, they can't speak it well, they don't really understand what's going on, know that you can figure it out. I figured it out you can do it. And if you need help, there are people that you can reach out to, your friends or whoever who are going through the process with you. It's actually not that hard to navigate with the FAFSA, with the CSS profile. Financial aid things along with the college application process may seem daunting, but you can get through it. I definitely want to say that really quick because as someone who has parents that do not speak English very well and another set of parents that absolutely did not help at all, it can feel very much, it could feel lonely. It can definitely feel like you can't accomplish any of this and you feel overwhelmed. Just take a deep breath, write it down, get it done. You can get it done. So don't worry.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our last question now, since we're a little bit short on time. So the last question of the day is, what volunteering did you do in high school and how did you find those opportunities?
For me, I think I did kind of a lot of volunteering throughout high school, and um, I think something that really helped me was our school has this, um, or I guess just like our community service specialist or coordinator. She like would send out these like newsletters with or like posts with volunteer opportunities with a direct link to just sign up. And then once you sign up, you just show up to the event and like you're volunteering. So that was like really convenient as a student. But also, yeah, Michelle Seeds, um, rip, she went to Texas. But anyways, and like I know I joined this club that kind of like worked directly with that community service specialist, and we helped kind of ideate new volunteer activities like school wide or like club based or something like that. Um, so yeah, finding those connections I think is really important. There could be like community organizations that have similar newsletters. Um, or there's always like Feed My Starving Children or like one-time events. Um, and yeah, I think there's also the President's Service Volunteer Award or something. I think that's where I got most of my volunteer awards. It's like depending on your age group and however many hours you get, you're eligible for like gold, silver, bronze level awards. Um, but yeah, you could also just volunteer. Like I know I volunteered a lot with my church and like with my, there's volunteer clubs that do volunteer hours. You could ask like, I don't know, some teachers um have things that they could have you do for volunteer hours, or like bigger organizations. So I think there's lots of opportunities around you if you just like look around a little bit, or if you ask around, or even if you just stumble upon like a volunteering newsletter. Like I think um, as long as you're kind of keeping an eye out, it's or once you like get into the right circle, then it's really easy to find opportunities. And it's good to volunteer in stuff that actually like matter to you. Like I did a lot of art volunteering. I worked with a lot of kids. There's lots of opportunities in different areas, no matter what your interests are.
For me, I was really involved in a program at Minnetonka High School because I was a part of our school's writing center. So I dedicated a lot of my volunteer experience to tutoring kids in writing. So, and I did that probably like at least in junior year, probably every single day after school. So it was definitely a big commitment for me. The way I kind of stumbled upon that was my English teacher in ninth grade actually sent me a letter and recommended me to the writing centers specifically and gave me the opportunity to be involved in it. And I applied and then I ended up getting the position. So I think that like, yeah, I agree with you, Young. Like definitely volunteer in an area in an area that matters to you. And I think at that time I felt pretty passionate about helping people and helping kids with their writing. So, um, that was something that I felt good about. So yeah, definitely seek out opportunities. And I also think that if you have good connections with your teachers, have good connections with your peers, oftentimes those opportunities will also come to you.
I can totally go next if nobody else wants to, but a lot of my volunteer hours I actually got on the so I started out pretty strong in freshman year. I did a lot of volunteering freshman year. Sophomore year I moved to Minnetonka, so I didn't have a lot of the setting up that, you know, a lot of freshman kids have when they stay all 4 years. So for me, I had to find a different outlet. Here's my hack. Okay, listen, you join a nonprofit organization. Listen, if they can sign off on volunteer hours, there's your golden ticket. Stay with that nonprofit and focus on everything you can do that for that nonprofit and track your hours. And if they can sign off on those, you're golden. You don't have to keep finding new ones to go to, although you can. And that also means look for nonprofits locally or whatever. You can also do it virtually. Because of the pandemic, I had to do virtually. And so if they can sign off on volunteer hours, again, work smarter, not harder. So if you don't want to, you know, if you don't have a car, if you can't go everywhere every weekend and go do all these activities, find one that you can stick with that works for you and pour your energy into that one. So yeah, make sure they can sign up for volunteer hours first and look online. There's always stuff you can do online. And with the rise of nonprofits being popular nowadays, if one fits with what you personally believe in, if one fits in your interests, then you can definitely join one of those and ask if they sign off on hours and ask whatever else they can do for you in terms of getting documentation for your school, because each school has different systems for how they track hours and get those signed.
Okay, well, it's almost 5:30, so yeah, we're almost done with this. One thing I do want to add is, well, just, mention again, if you want to, you can donate to Super Joey Foundation via PayPal through this link or the QR code. Or you can also email us at superjoeymn@gmail.com. And yeah. So yeah, you guys are free to go if we're done. So,
I just put my email in the chat if anyone wants to ask me any questions, but thank you everyone for coming.
I put my email there too, just in case anyone does have questions about college application or UC Berkeley or anything like that. Actually, I don't know a lot about Berkeley yet either, but I'd be willing to work with you.
I put mine in there too. I actually know a little bit more about the Gallatin program because I had to do more extensive research. So if you want to go into that program, let me know. By the way, are we supposed to stay afterwards?
You can leave if you want. Okay. Also, if anyone has questions about Columbia or like the core, because a lot of people talk about the core, I know a lot about. I think I know a lot about the core, so I can answer any questions about that. If not, everyone can feel free to go, including panelists.
Thank you, Mr.